Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and I figured I haven't actually done a book tag video in a while. Unless I have, and time's just moving really weirdly. Genuinely can't remember. But yeah, I felt like doing a book tag today, so we're doing a book tag. This is the Anti-TBR Book Tag. Originally by Nicole and her books. I will put the description in her channel below, the channel in the description below. Wow. Baby brain is on high alert today. Yeah, this is basically not a book hate tag, but just books that you have no interest in reading, reasons why, and just having a little bit of a rant. And we do love a rant on this channel, and this introduction has gone on way too long already, so let's just get right into it with question 1. A popular book that everyone seems to love, but you have no interest in reading. Honestly, I'd have to, well, there's a few. There is a few, but if I was just going to pick one answer, because I have kind of fobbed the system before where I've picked multiple books for one question, and that's kind of cheating, maybe. I don't know what the rules are exactly, but I'm going to try and keep it to just one, and that is the Divergent series. I got nothing for it, I'm sorry. I remember I started reading the first one way back when, before I even started university, so that's like 10 years ago now at this point. Oh my god, that was 10 years ago. So I remember starting it. I have no memory of finishing it. I remember that it was terribly written, that the characters were just bland, and there was just nothing there. I mean, the premise had a good setup, but it was just all exposition from what I remember. I have no interest in going back to it. I have no interest in continuing the series. I have no interest in seeing the movies. I'm pretty much done. I'm sorry, I got nothing for you. Number 2, a classic book or author that you have no interest in reading. Now, it's hard to define what a classic is. You have to kind of rely on pop culture and what's popular from a certain time period, I suppose. You know, the word classic has a very broad meaning, but I'm going to pick classic as in the... My neighbour's children finds it hilarious, apparently. Classic is in the typical sense, like a classic old-timey sort of book, and that is Victor Hugo. I started reading Hunchback of Notre Dame, and the story is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it is just so awkwardly written. I don't know whether it's a lost in translation thing, because obviously French. But yeah, something about the writing style and the narrative just didn't feel right to me, and the fact that he's also written another epic such as Les Miserables is just, I don't know, I don't have an interest in it. I gave it a go, I failed miserably, and I have no interest in going back to him. I'm sorry, Victor Hugo, the works that you create are definitely fantastic. I mean, I love the musicals, I love the movies, but as for the books, I just can't. I'm sorry. Number 3, an author you have no interest in reading, and that is Julia Quinn, the author of the Bridgerton series. I did watch the TV series on Netflix, and the first episode really hooked me, don't get me wrong. I will openly admit that the first episode just got me. Some of the lines in there, some of the characters, I was like, okay, I can get into this. And then it quickly turned into just such an abusive, disgusting relationship that was based on manipulation and lies, and we're expected to feel sorry for these characters because, oh, I've got daddy issues, therefore I'm allowed to be a complete dickhead. And she's like, oh, well, I want children, therefore I'm allowed to emotionally manipulate you. It's like, why is that okay? And yeah, I know that the book series focuses on all of the Bridgerton children, all 8 of them, or how many there are, but I've got no interest in it. There was only one character that had my interest, and she was barely in it, and that was a great injustice right there. I have no interest. Sorry, Julia Quinn, I have no interest in reading your books if they're based around that level of, oh, manipulation and stalking is sexy kind of thing. It's just, it just makes my skin crawl. The next one, a problematic author that you have no interest in reading. Again, problematic is a very broad term, and the one that comes to mind is J.K. Rowling, which I feel like such a hypocrite for saying because I am a huge Potter fan, and you can admire somebody's work and not have any admiration for the person. I stand by that, and it's not just with her. She is a vile human being, and as far as I'm concerned, the Harry Potter series, which I adore, is written by an anonymous, unknown reader. These books just came out of the veil from somewhere, and that is who, and that is what I am going with. Any other books by J.K. Rowling can burn as far as I'm concerned. I am not interested in anything else that woman has to offer. The Potter series came out when she had some level of respect for human life. Now she has no respect for human life, so therefore I will not be continuing any of her works. I'm done. The Potter universe shall be written by an unknown author in my mind, as far as I'm concerned. Number 5, an author that you've read a couple of books from, but then have decided it's just not for you. Honestly, James Patterson, the murder mystery extraordinaire. I used to read a lot of his books when I was a little bit younger, like when I was going through university. I did read a lot of his books, but then I don't know, I started realizing that I'm reading them not because I'm really enjoying them or because I really like him as an author. I'm reading them because I've got a lot going on because of university and exams and stuff, and these are very quick and easy reads because he does have a very formulaic style, and it just sort of feels like once you've read one of his books, you've read them all. Yes, the characters will change and the type of murder will change, but overall it's kind of samey. There's not really a lot of diversity there in terms of his stories. The mysteries are pretty cut and dry, and there's not really a lot of deep substance to it. It's just what you see is what you get, and I feel that with every single one of his books. So yes, I have read quite a few of his books, but now I just don't think they're for me. They were just very easy to read at the time, and sometimes you don't want easy reads, sometimes you want something with a little bit more meat to it. And as much as I admire the guy and the amount of work that he's been able to produce, and you know, I've got nothing against him whatsoever, it's a bit repetitive for me. Number 6, a genre that you have no interest in reading, or a genre that you gave a try but just couldn't get into. I don't really have any, and I feel like a huge cop-out for saying that. Originally I was gonna say romance because I don't read a lot of romance. A lot of romance books that I've read are very repetitive and samey, or they use tropes that just rub me up the wrong way, like, you know, the love triangle or the surprise baby or the manipulation is sexy kind of thing. I haven't found many that have really resonated with me. I've got nothing against romance being in books that, you know, where it's not a primary thing. That's fine, but romance just doesn't appeal to me as a genre. But that being said, I have been reading a few more recently to try and, you know, look for the exceptions, and I've actually found a couple. So as much as I want to say romance as a genre just isn't for me, I found a few that have changed my mind. So I can't say that there's any genres that I would outright ignore now, which is good. I feel like I've grown a little bit there. So cop-out answer, but no, I don't really have any set genres. Next one, a book that you've bought but will never read. I have a few. I have a few, but you know, we're trying to keep it to just one, so yeah. That is The World After by Susan E. It is the second in the Angel Fall series, and the first one was just such a big disappointment and letdown that I have no interest in reading the second. And I feel bad because I did buy both as a bundle and they are both still sitting on my shelf, but the first one was awful. The characters were just so bland and bratty, the story went absolutely nowhere, and there was this forced, you know, haters to lovers trope in there that made no sense, and I hated every minute of reading it, and I have no interest in reading the second, so it is just downstairs mocking me at the moment. It's great. it's the type of book series that I feel bad donating because it was just that bad in general. That's saying a lot. Number 8, a series that you have no interest in reading, or a series that you started but ended up not finishing. The Magicians. I mentioned this one recently in another video. We started watching the sci-fi series and it had a really promising start, so I was given the trilogy as a Christmas present or a birthday present, and the first time I read the first one, and it just was so weird. It was so bizarre, and it made no sense whatsoever. The writing was all over the place. It would do like 3 sentences describing a character or a room, but then it would spend like 4 or 5 pages on really weird, uncomfortable, intimate scenes that made no sense to what was going on anyway. And I know I thought, okay, maybe it's just because I'm still in the TV series mode that I'm not letting myself get into the book, so I let it go for a little bit. I reread the first one recently and could not get through it. It was just as bad as before, so now I have book 2 and 3 down there as well, and I have no desire to go and read them, which I feel bad for because they were gifts, but at the same time, they're just really uncomfortable books to read. And the fact that the TV series went so downhill and so friggin' bizarre, that was a bit of a red flag. Sorry, Magicians, it's a no from me. And finally, what is a rather new release that you just have no interest in reading? I would have to say The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I don't know, it's got some type of magical library quality to it, which, you know, sounds like it would be right up my street, but then I'm reading the premise and reading reviews, and it is basically a copy and paste of another series that I read recently. Is it just called The Secret Library? No, it's The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman, that's what I'm thinking of. It is basically a copy and paste of that. The only difference is that in the Invisible Library, the Genevieve Cogman series, that one is a little bit more... It's a little bit more fantasy based. Sorry, the kids outside are so friggin' loud. It is pouring down with rain. What are you doing? Yeah, the Invisible Library series, it had a bit more variety to it, like each thing in this library could take you to a different alternate world, and they really explored it well, whereas the Midnight Library, it's come out recently and it feels like it's just a copy and paste, but without as much diversity and whimsy to it. Well, no, whimsy's the wrong word. World building. It doesn't seem to have as much of that, so it just feels like it would be a book that I've already read, so I've got no real interest in reading it. So I'm sorry, Matt Haig, but no. And that is it. That is the Anti-TBR Book Tag. I had a lot of fun putting this list together because I do like ranting about books. I do like having a good rant here, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry if your favourite book or a book that you like happened to be on this list. It's nothing personal. It is just... that is just how it came across to me, that these are the reasons why I don't go for these books, but I am not slating anybody who wants to go for those books. You do you at the end of the day. Everyone's different, everyone's got their own tastes, and I am not trying to take away from anybody else's. So yeah, please don't come for me. If you want to give this book tag a go, please do. I find them really fun to watch, and it just, I don't know, broadens up the connection a little bit, so it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. But yeah, I'm going to end this video here. I hope you had fun. I know I did, and if you have any books that you want to recommend to me, if you have any answers to these questions, then please put them in the comments below, and let's just start a book discussion. So I hope you're doing well, I hope you're staying safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, my scribblers.